Hi, it's Robin. I'm doing plants number 141, 142, and 143. My first one is Salvia leucantha, Mexican sagebush. It's in the family Lamiaceae and the order Lamiales. Um, some identifying features are simple, velvety 3 to 6 inch leaves in lanceolate or linear shape with white square stems, an opposite leaf arrangement, a flower stalk with a spike inflorescence with persistent fuzzy purple calyx. And it's either white or purple corollas depending on the species or the variety. Usually I see it as a pollinator in the pollinator garden for butterflies and hummingbirds. But I see them everywhere. They can be planted in our zone, but usually it's USDA zone 8 to 10. They can be planted in many different soils as long as it's well draining, neutral to alkaline pH, gets full sun, sometimes light shade, and it's somewhat drought tolerant. You can see here, this is like the sidewalk with the street, whatever that's called, and it can be up to 4 to 6 feet wide and tall. It's originally from Mexico or Central America. And so one way to distinguish, this is just for Lamiaceae plants in general, is that they are square stems. So if you cut it, then it will be square. Or if you feel it, you can feel 4 sides. So I'm going to go to this picture. They have an opposite leaf arrangement. I'm not sure if you can see it here. It's on this one for sure, but this is the lanceolate or linear shaped leaves with the white stems. And this is the flower stalk. Well, this is better view of the opposite leaves. The flower stalk, this one specifically has a purple corolla, but these calyxes are persistent, so they'll always be there even after the flower falls out. Next, I have Salvia Spathacea. Let me switch to this. This is the hummingbird sage. This is actually one of my favorites. Salvia Spathacea is in the Lamiaceae family and the Lamiales order. Commonly known as the hummingbird sage. It's an evergreen perennial, so it'll always be green and around. It'll be a ground cover in a kind of a mounding habit. It has a woody base and a whorled spike inflorescence of pink flowers when in bloom. It's one of my favorites because of its fruity scent. And it has square stems, like I mentioned previously with the Lamiaceae. It has wavy glandular hairs on those leaves, and the leaves are shaped in oblong to arrow shape. Let's see this is the flower, super pretty, and this is the leaf, the oblong to arrow leaf. They spread by rhizomes, so like underneath the ground stems. Kind of like mint, but not as aggressive, I'd say. Again, with the woody base, they have pink flowers in March through May, so you can see them right now. It grows up to 3 feet tall when in flower. It makes a great ground cover and a hummingbird and butterfly pollinator plant. These definitely need shade or partly shaded areas. I've definitely killed a couple of these plants from it being out in full sun. It prefers a pH range of 5 to 7 and does well in USDA zones 8 to 11. They can be 1 to 3 feet tall, 3 to 5 feet wide, and it's actually a native to this area. So for this one, growing tips, because I always wanted to grow this but couldn't, but grow in the shade. Usually it's underneath like giant oaks. And if you're growing it in the shade, use a drip irrigation instead of overwatering and like getting it on all the leaves to prevent powdery mildew. And in the first season, you should pinch the buds. So you just like pinch these off so that it can grow and focus more on the leaves instead of the flowers. And if it's older, you can cut it back in November. But if you just rub your hands on these leaves, and it just smells super fruity and delightful. Plant number 143, Scabiosa columbaria. It's the pincushion. I'm doing Scabiosa columbaria butterfly blue. It's in the Caprifoliaceae family and the Dipsacale order. It's also known as a pincushion flower. There's different varieties, but this one, the butterfly blue, is actually like a lavender blue, as you see. It's 1 to 2 inches across on the blooms from spring, and they have a really long season. The inflorescence that's here, so that means there's like multiple flowers. You can see that there. Multiple flowers in one is in the, it's called a head. It's kind of like a sunflower, but it's not a sunflower. But that's also similar. The sunflower has a head inflorescence as well. They are a clump-forming perennial with a leaf surface that is glabrous, which means that it's like smooth and hairless, or to pubescent, so where it's like soft, short hair. The leaves are lanceolate to ovate leaf shape and pinnately lobed. So you can see this one here. I think I have a better one. There's some leaves in the background. And it has a basal growth, so it'll just start from the bottom. It's used as a ground cover to attract butterflies. You can also put it in like a cottage garden, and those blooms like last a really long time. It does well in USDA zones 3 through 9 in well-draining soil and neutral soil, full sun to part shade. They grow 1 to 2 feet high and 1 to 2 feet wide. Interestingly, they're originated from Europe, Africa, and Western Asia. So I learned that the name for Scabiosa is the Latin word for to itch or to scratch, and the folklore was used as a medicine to treat scabies, as the person with the scabies would be itchy, and they would soak in a remedy of Scabiosa, fennel, and marshmallow. That's a fun plant too. But it wasn't actually proven to work. So this one's the pincushion, and you can see all the stamens sticking out of each of the individual flowers in there.